So you want to improve your carve jibes, your power jibe, your step jibe, possibly even your duck jibe. This is the video for you. Now you may notice right now I'm definitely not planing, and anyone that knows this area that I'm filming in, this is Vassiliki in Greece. This is a light onshore early afternoon. It's not windy, and I'm not going to get planing in this session. This is a bit of a dive into the techniques, into the thought processes, and into a few little ideas I want to leave you guys with about how we can actually improve our jibes. Because myself and loads of other YouTubers you'll see around the place have made videos on this is how you carve jibe, or this is the difference between a step jibe or a strap jibe. The power jibe, maybe the oversheeting lay down jibe, this is how you do them and this is what's going on. But I want to throw you a few little ideas just to get you thinking a little bit more about the differences or what's going on midway through your jibe. Now what I want to stress the importance of just now is that not every jibe is the same. And I'm not saying the difference between a step jibe or a strap jibe. And I'm going to show a few clips on the screen just so we're really clear that a step jibe is where you step before you flick the rig. A strap jibe is where you're still in the strap when you flick the rig. I'm not saying those differences. I'm saying little differences that happen along the way. And there isn't like a cheat code that will make it work. There's a whole series of small, what need to become autonomous, completely automatic reactions that have to happen in those half-split hundredth of a second that will make the difference between stalling the jibe, slowing right down, or falling off the front and back. Now, I made a video elsewhere on the channel which was the formula of jibing. But basically what I explained that if your vision and counterbalance is good, then your jibe will probably be dry. If your trim and your power control is good, then you can start to speed up and accelerate out of the jibe. Now all that's true. I still stand by what was said in those videos. This is just the light wind ride-along session, having a bit of a discussion about what can change. And it can be as small as whereabouts on the boom your hands are on the entrance. It could be as small as whereabouts your hands go on the exit. It could even be, and I quite like this as a discussion point, when you make the foot change, does the footstep happen in front of the old back foot or behind? And there's variables, and a few of you guys have pointed this out in my videos, and this is kind of one of the reasons I want to show this, is that every jibe is slightly different. Sometimes I will catch the boom underhand on an exit, sometimes I'll catch it on top. Neither one is right or wrong, as long as we're starting to build those reactions and realize why sometimes I might do the underhand grip on the exit. Same with the foot change I mentioned just then. Sometimes I'll deliberately take my front foot out of the strap midway through the jibe and step back. A big reason I do that is if I've got lots of power and lots of speed, I'll step behind the carving foot. If I step in front of the carving foot, then I'm further forward and it's much harder to control the power in the sail. And if I remember rightly, while I'm cruising along in the light wind here, I've got some fairly dramatic examples of what happens if everything's going well, but then you step too far forward and put the power on. It's quite an exciting exit to a jibe, let's say. I'm still planing all the way to the end, but there's not much chance of me holding this power or holding the sail when I'm that far forward. So the little shuffled back can make a bit of a difference. How do we practice all this stuff then? How do we build these automatic reactions without just having these dramatic, explosive crashes? And that's where what I'm doing just now and the conditions I'm in just now are perfect for it. Light wind, non-planing conditions, building those reactions. Because even in that jibe that I just did, when the power kicked in, I wasn't quite in, let's say, the perfect position to hold onto the power. And there's not that much power. I'm not in planing conditions at all. But the pause, followed by where my hands were on the boom, stopped me overpowering, stopped me just getting pulled forwards, and stopped the opposite. I could have just depowered and completely stalled the board. The reason I'm out in these conditions just now is I've just finished a group of advanced windsurfers' morning session. and that was non-planing on pretty much the kit I'm on just now. So this is a 165 Starboard Go with a centre fin, and I'm on a 5.9 Spy from 0.7. Now the reason I'm using this kit is this is what I'm comfortable on in the light winds, and yes, I could go smaller of course, but I want something stable enough that it's not just going to throw me in, but not so big that it's too easy, let's say. I don't want it to be too stable. Similar with the sail, there's no need to go much bigger than this. Anything bigger isn't going to make me go faster, it's just going to be a bit cumbersome and awkward when it comes to moving that sail around. Anything smaller, I probably won't be able to get upwind very easily. So 5.9, and the team I had, depending on their size, depending on their weight and their height, the biggest I think we had was a 6.5 and a 180, and the smallest was a 5 metre and a 130. And that's just down to the build of the students that we're with. But it really allows me to work out exactly where this sail has to go as I come through this non-planing jibe. I can play with stepping back or stepping forward. I'm getting used to small movements forwards and backwards on the board and feeling the difference they make.
So as an example here, watch my feet closely in a classic step jibe. There's already been one, and there's going to be a second really small little adjustment that means my feet aren't just glued onto the board or locked into where they should be. The second one is about to happen there. Now we're going to watch this back in slow motion, a little bit slower than this. The first one, back foot adjusted. I realised I wasn't quite carving hard enough, needed a bit more rail pressure, so moved that original back foot. The second one, as the foot change happens, I realise I'm a little bit inboard, and again I haven't quite carved as hard as I needed to. So the foot change happens here, and my back foot now there. Took an extra step further back and towards the rail to encourage the board to turn a little bit more and to allow me to control that power for the exit.
What happens if I put the sail further that way? Well, that starts to happen. I turn this way. Even in that light wind, slightly wrong position with the sail, it told me so. So building these autonomous reactions, these automatic movements that need to happen in the 100th of a second midway through a jibe, light winds is when the changes really happen. Very similar if you want to learn to duck jibe. Yes, you need speed and momentum onto the jibe. You need to catch up with the wind or the sail won't go light. But that's pretty terrifying, right? Going for your first duck jibe at 20-something knots. So learn it on the land. Do 1,000 ducks on the land in light winds, or even no wind. Then when you start to come out in the wind we've got just here, hopefully, it's pretty automatic where the sail needs to go. You can then have a good old play without worrying about just getting pulled in or the big crashes that inevitably will happen if you're practicing it at 25 knots. Even here, this reaction now, it's a small movement with my backhand that actually brought me around the jibe. Now the point of this video isn't to explain every little detail and everything that changes. It's just this light wind ride along, or it used to be the walk along series. A lot of you guys have been asking for the return of the walk along series, which was discussions like this and maybe the odd clip thrown over the top to solidify the point I'm trying to make. This right now is just perfect timing. I finished the session, the wind was blowing beautifully. Let's go and have a little chat with you guys. Continue in a moment, but do remember, if you're coming here to Vassiliki, bespoke private coaching and group clinics and coaching and development from beginner all the way up to planing out of your carved jibes and even some freestyle skills. That's what I run here in Vass. It doesn't matter where you're staying up and down the beach. My contact details are in the description just down below. If you can't make it to Vass, I get that. The world is a big place and there's windsurfers everywhere, hopefully taking over. But no stress at all, I do a bit of online coaching too. So just drop me an email, I can discuss exactly how it works. Basically, we use my library of clips and demos of successes and personal failures, as well as if you've got them, some of your clips too. and I'll give you some training exercises or a training program you can take away and develop your windsurfing without me, and hopefully then come back for session after session online and together. Now what you've just seen there is a series of clips. Some filmed from the drone, some live and on board at the front, up top, down below, all over the place. And what I don't want you to take away is that that is how you should jibe. What I want you to take away is that each one is slightly different. Some of them the board is flatter. I'm trying to maintain my speed. Some of them the board is carved a little bit harder. Perhaps I need to slow down or I'm trying to hook it in quickly. Some of them were stepped first before the rig flip. Some of them the rig flip was before the step, the strap style jibe. Some of them I oversheeted slightly, which you could call a bit of a laydown jibe. The power jibe, by the way, is, I think, a blended term that's been sort of lost through various translations, just like the spelling. Is it a G or a J, IBE or GYBE? But the power jibe is often what everyone calls as a planing into a jibe going in with power. So let's bracket all of the step, strap, duck, lay down. They're all bracketed under a power jibe. And what I'd love from all of you guys is to take this on board and mix up your jibes. Sometimes you'll come through the turn and your footstep will be very late. Can I do something that will then keep me on the plane, keep that power on through that late foot change? Sometimes, perhaps, your foot change is very early. I'm actually going into this jibe switch stance. Maybe it's not that extreme, but it's a movement that I've trained and I've got used to, so that when it comes to these jibes, I've got a reaction, I've got something ready. Light wind training, front foot strap, Into the jibe, into the jibe. Foot step forwards, because I'm not that powered up and I'm trying to keep the board flat. I kind of want to finish with that little formula I had at the start, because it doesn't tell you exactly what to do. It's just some key rudiments. Or anyone that's aware of the formula I've been using, the fast forward formula. Vision, look where you want to go, and counterbalance, opposing where the rig is going. Now what that means is midway through a jibe, avoid staring at your feet or your hands or anything, but look to your exit. Counterbalance means the rig has gone towards you guys, towards the camera. I've had to go the other way. Generally, as long as your vision and counterbalance are good, you'll make it round the jibe. You'll make it round the jibe dry. Might not have speed, but it'll be dry. You won't get pulled in by the rig. You won't lose your way. Trim and power. Trim, if the board is flat from front to back. Now, yes, there is going to be a bit of a carve, of course, but if the board is flat from front to back, the board's going to stay fast. You can, in fact, at full speed, ditch all of your power. As long as the board stays flat from front to back, you're still going to be planing. So as long as the trim is good and the power control is correct, as in when to turn the power on and off, how we depower, flip the rig and put the power back on again, which doesn't necessarily have to be at a specific time of the jibe. It could be early, it could be late, but it's how I'm depowering and powering back up again. As long as the power control is correct with a flat board, trim and power, then you're going to plane out of those jibes. What do we think, people? Am I making sense or am I chatting nonsense? Have you got some other ideas you want to throw in? Whatever's going on, make sure you've hit that like and subscribe button down at the bottom. And if you really like and leave a comment for me, so I want to know what you guys think. I want to know what you're doing. I want to know what you've been trained, and then I can give some thoughts and opinions, or possibly even another light wind session like this where I can throw in some other ideas and answer your questions. There's going to be more of these light wind ride-along sessions, these discussion-based sessions, rather than a big edit or a full power, this is exactly how to do it. And the easiest way to get these ones, as well as loads of other videos, is to join my Patreon link. So that's a little link down below. You join the Patreon and you get loads of exclusive content and access to extra stuff. And yes, some of you have noticed there is a new shop available through this link too. A lot of you guys have been asking about these caps that I've been wearing, or the t-shirts and rash vests that I've been wearing in these videos too. So it can all be accessed through the links in the description. And hopefully I'll see you guys out here in Vass very soon for a little bit of jibe training, foot straps, or even one of the group clinics that I'm going to be running throughout this summer. See you on the water very soon. Okay.